Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the foundations of the Roman Empire, and I mean the real foundations. We often hear about the epic battles and the grand buildings, but how did one man, Augustus, take a republic on the brink of collapse and turn it into an empire that would last for centuries? The answer isn't just about conquest, it's about spreadsheets and soldiers, or more accurately, taxes and a professional army. These administrative reforms are the unsung heroes of the Pax Romana, the famous Roman peace. So, let's start with the army. Before Augustus, the Roman legions were a bit of a mess. They were loyal to their generals, not to the state. Think of figures like Marius, Sulla, Pompey, and Caesar himself. Their private armies constantly fought each other, leading to endless civil wars that bled the republic dry. Augustus knew this had to stop. His first brilliant move was to slash the number of legions from over 60 down to just 28. This wasn't just about saving money, it was about control. Fewer legions meant fewer potential rivals. But how did he ensure their loyalty? He created something revolutionary, a professional, standing army loyal directly to the emperor. He offered soldiers a fixed term of service, initially 16 years for legionaries, later extended to 20, plus another 5 in the reserves. This wasn't a temporary gig anymore. It was a career path, and at the end of this career came the real prize, a generous retirement package. This usually consisted of a large cash payout or a plot of land, often in a newly founded colony. Suddenly, soldiers had a personal stake in the stability of the empire and the emperor who guaranteed their future. Their loyalty was bought and paid for by the state, not by a charismatic general with ambitions of his own. To manage this new professional force, Augustus established a special military treasury, the area militaire *. This was a dedicated fund just for paying soldiers' wages and their retirement bonuses. By creating this central treasury, Augustus ensured that payments were regular and reliable, further cementing the army's loyalty to the state. He even kick-started it with a massive donation from his own personal fortune. This system professionalized the Roman military and turned it from a source of civil war into the ultimate guarantor of imperial peace and the emperor's power. The legions were now stationed along the frontiers, not lingering near Rome to influence politics. They became the guardians of the empire, not a threat to it. Now, a professional army with a pension plan is expensive. Very expensive. So where did the money come from? This brings us to Augustus' second masterstroke, a complete overhaul of the tax system. The old system under the Republic was chaotic and incredibly corrupt. The state outsourced tax collection to private companies called *publicani*. These tax collectors would bid for the right to collect taxes in a province. Whatever they collected above their bid was pure profit. This created a massive incentive for extortion. They would squeeze the provincials for every last denarius, leading to widespread resentment and instability. It was inefficient for the state and brutal for the taxpayers. Augustus recognized this system was not only unjust but also unreliable. He needed a steady, predictable flow of revenue to fund his army, his building projects, and the administration of a vast empire. So, he gradually phased out the *publicani* in favor of a state-run civil service-based system. He initiated a massive empire-wide census. This wasn't just counting people, it was a detailed assessment of wealth and property. For the first time, Rome had a clear idea of its tax base. With this data, he could implement new, stable, and direct taxes. The first was a poll tax, a fixed fee paid by every adult in the provinces. The second, and more significant, was a property tax, a percentage-based tax on the value of land and other assets. Because these taxes were collected by salaried government officials, the incentive for extortion was dramatically reduced. The rates were predictable, and the revenue flowed directly into the imperial treasury, not into the pockets of private contractors. This made the system fairer for the provinces and vastly more efficient for the state. To fund that military treasury we talked about, Augustus also introduced new taxes specifically on Roman citizens, who had traditionally been exempt from direct taxation. This was a bold move. He introduced a 5% inheritance tax and a 1% sales tax on goods sold at auction. As you can imagine, this wasn't very popular with the Roman elite, but it was essential. By making even Roman citizens contribute, Augustus spread the financial burden and created a sustainable model to pay for the army that protected everyone. He cleverly framed the inheritance tax as a necessary contribution to the state that guaranteed the peace and security which allowed them to accumulate their wealth in the first place. So let's connect the dots. A professional, loyal army requires consistent pay and a pension. That requires a stable, predictable source of income. That income is generated by a reformed, centralized, and fairer tax system based on a detailed census. You see how it all fits together. These weren't separate policies. They were two sides of the same coin. The army guaranteed the peace that allowed the economy to thrive. And the thriving economy, through an efficient tax system, paid for the army. This self-reinforcing loop was the engine that powered the Roman Empire for the next 200 years. What Augustus created was, in essence, the blueprint for a stable imperial government. By taking control of the army and the treasury, he removed the two biggest sources of late Republican chaos. He replaced the arbitrary power of ambitious generals and greedy tax collectors with the predictable and centralized authority of the state, embodied in himself as emperor. It may not be as dramatic as the Battle of Actium, but these administrative reforms are arguably Augustus's greatest and most lasting legacy. He didn't just win a war, he built a state that could endure, and that's the genius of Augustus. He understood that true, lasting power wasn't just about having the biggest army, but about having the system to pay for it, control it, and make it a force for stability, not chaos. He laid the administrative groundwork that allowed the Roman Empire to flourish. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this deep dive into Roman administration interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Let me know in the comments what other aspects of Roman history you'd like to explore. See you in the next video.